Question for you. What are we doing in this video? You're not going to tell them, are you? Alright, I guess I'll do it. This time on Boneyard Revivals, the Square Body makes passes down the drag strip. We have a time to improve on from the last time this truck went down the strip. So let's see if it can run a faster pass. Right? You think it's going to be faster? Was the yawn saying it's going to be slow? Wow, I see how it is. That's cool, dude. It's cool. Alright, so in case if you're new here on the channel, let's go over everything on the Square Body here. Honestly, it's probably the vehicle on the channel that has the most views, but if you haven't seen it, it's okay. I'm not going to hold it against you. Okay, maybe a little bit. Go check out some links as I point them out. And here is a 355 small block Chevy. You want to see the build up on that. It's known on the channel as the budget build 350. It started out as a $500 build. We put around $1,000, maybe a scoosh more, into getting it running in the truck. Ran it in the truck. Had a lot of fun with it in the truck. We then pulled it out for Hot Rod Power Tour 2022 and completely went through the engine. Kept the same bottom end. The bottom end is a 2-bolt main, cast crank, pretty much stock rods. There's newer hyper-eutestic pistons in it, but they're not quite flat tops. The crank is balanced in the bottom end, which is pretty cool. We then put in a bigger cam. It was a Summit Racing cam. I want to say 272 duration with 450 lift and a 106 LSA. A little bit of an odd cam, especially for a 3/4 ton truck, but the end goal for this was that this motor wasn't always going to be in this truck. I wanted to make something that was kind of fun, sounded good, and made a little bit of noise, and would work really good in anything else I wanted to put it in. So that's what we did there. As far as it goes with cylinder heads, these are 906 Vortec heads. We bulb blended them. They got port matched, and I think they're bulb blended and port matched, if I'm not mistaken. Gasket matched, yes. So a little bit of work done to the heads, stock size valves, all that stuff. I believe those were 150 exhausts and 195 intakes, I believe. On top, it's a Brawler 650 mechanical secondary, electric choke setup, and the intake is a I believe that's also a Summit Racing. It's a Summit Racing Vortec intake. It's just a high rise. It's not a high rise air gap. We suspect that it makes around 375 horsepower with a few other little upgrades. Like, honestly, biggest ones that I would have done to push this to 400 would have been a good set of roller rockers, like 1.6s, and to really push it into the 400s, I'd say a much bigger cam, but for the application, it didn't make much sense. A full port job on the heads, and if we went and we cutted the heads a lot harder, we'd easily be well into the 400s, in my opinion. Some of the other people on the internet are not going to say that, and they're going to say that I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, one of these days we'll get it on a dyno and we'll actually find out for sure. But my estimate, if it were to go on a dyno today, the way it sits, it should make ballpark 375 basic. And for how much money we have invested in this engine, which I'd say between buying it, putting it all together, the cylinder heads, all that stuff, we probably have, I'd say, $400 to $4,500 invested into this engine. And for the number that it makes, for the amount of money invested, is well worth it, because you can't buy a crate motor that makes that kind of power for that much money. Crate motors are going for like easily $5 or $6 grand, if not a little more now. So I'll be content with that. Plus, we actually made it, and we actually did the work and put our sweat, blood, and tears and labor into it. We didn't just go on a Summit catalog and go, ooh, I'm gonna just order one. Don't be that guy. I mean, if you're that guy, cool, but you know what? There's something about putting your hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into something and then watching it all come to life. I'm going to tell you, it's a much better experience than buying one and slapping it in. Anyways, let's tell you about the transmission and the rest of the setup in the truck. So our transmission, that is sporting the no inspection cover, is a fully built 700 R4. Pretty much got all the goodies and doodads thrown at it. Shift kit, I think Red Eagle friction clutches, stuff like that. And it is a 700 R4, so it's a 4-speed automatic with a fourth gear being an overdrive. Out back we have a semi-floater 14 bolt and with 323 gears. So this truck back in the day was very much so made towards the point of economy, within having, it was originally a 350 small block Chevy truck. It was a 4-bolt main block, and then it was originally a 700 R4 truck with the original 323 gears out back. So as far as it goes to being fast, it shouldn't necessarily be crazy, but you know, and kind of the combination isn't fully right. I mean, you got an engine that likes to make peak numbers towards 4 to 5 grand, and honestly, spooling a truck like this that hard doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, because it's literally a 3/4 ton truck with 323 gears, so it's not going to pull that hard. But together down the highway, it runs and drives really good, and honestly a pretty decent driver. So that's the way we built it. We intentionally built it this way for Power Tour, and it has worked out up to this point, and it runs and drives pretty good. But here's the real deal. We had this truck down the drag strip 2 years ago with the original, the rendition number 1 of the budget build 350, we'll call it, with a 193 swivel port heads, much smaller cam, and all that kind of stuff, with a turbo 400 trans in it. We ran it down the strip 2 years ago, and I think it went, fastest it went was 1778 at like 78 miles an hour. Yeah, so we'd like to see a improvement on that. Anything better than that 1778, I'll take it. Whatever it is, I'll take it. So that's what we're looking for today.
Oh, there's Jakey Poo.
It's annoying to me that they couldn't
Put them together, yeah.
pass was ugly. Pretty much jumped it off the line there. I was trying to launch it harder, but it didn't want to launch harder. So that might be our last pass of the day, but it runs way better than what it did a few years ago. So take that as a win.
Yeah.
So review on the day. She's good. She's good. There was that clip there. The first pass we had was obviously our fastest one. That second clip was actually Jake in his 2012 Dodge Ram. And this thing outran a Ram, a 2012 Dodge Ram with a 5.7 Hemi. So Mopar guys, you can suck it. My clapped out square body is faster than your truck, Jake. Sorry. Yeah, come back with a faster truck next time, I guess, you know? What can I say? Square body for the win. But no, that was fun. We're supposed to go head to head. When they went to line us up, they sent me and obviously that Fox body Mustang out, and then they sent him and the other dude out, which kind of sucked because it would have been really cool to smoke them on video and then post it all over the internet. But instead, we just have to show you time slips and say that my truck's faster, so. I'm not happy about the win, but you know, I guess I'll take it because I wish it was head to head, but oh well, it's all right. It's all right. Let's actually pull out my time slips sheets and show you what we have going on here. So I figured I'd actually drag these time slips out for you to show them to you. So this is our first pass in my left hand. This is our second pass in our right hand. First thing you're going to notice is that the other vehicle in the other lane was way faster than me on both runs. There was actually a dude in a Cutlass. He was actually a really cool dude. Got to talk to him a little bit about his car and his setup, because eventually we're going to be looking to set those two up. Well, mostly that one to do a lot of the strip stuff, but that one's probably going to make a few passes too in the future. Anyways, continuing on here, the big things that I wanted to look at was our reaction time was terrible. Seriously, I really need to get better with that. Looking pretty ugly there, but that really doesn't matter. I wasn't looking for reaction time, plus this truck was so just slow leaving the line, so it wasn't breaking the beam that fast. Anyways, you have our 60 foot. I'm not actually fully sure what that one is. I want to say that might be 330 foot, which is, I don't know if that's halfway to an 1/8 mile or something like that. I actually don't know, so if someone else can clear that up for me in the comments, that'd be great. But the big two things that actually matter to me on this slip is the 1/8 mile, because we're actually going 1/8 mile, not quarter mile racing. I didn't realize that on this first hit. I held the truck wide open and pretty much foot to the floor, giving her all the beans, all the way out to, you know, the 3/4 mile, which might have helped the time a little bit here. But yeah, so our 1/8 mile time was 10:308, which if you actually convert that to quarter mile, and then there's actually converters online that you can find. This came out to pretty much just about be a 16:0. So if the weather was right, it was a little cooler, and we have this thing dialed in, this does have potential to be a 15-second truck. But then our second run here, you can see how badly our time went. It was 11:44 to a 10:308, and our mile per hour was horrendous. We dropped almost, what, 7? No, that was 5 miles an hour. Honestly, a lot of the reason why our second run was so bad was two reasons. One, when I went to leave the line, I didn't get it to rev as high as I wanted it to. I was having it at 2,500 RPM, and it would just push through the brakes. And so when the light turned green, I knew I wasn't going to get, my reaction time wasn't going to be anything, but I figured if I didn't break the beams, I brake stood it harder and then tried to just mash the pedal and then release the brake, and it kind of basically didn't work, honestly, which sucks, but you know, whatever. So basically that's why this one looks so ugly. Reaction time's terrible, 60 foot time. I mean, you could see right in the 60 foot time how terrible it was. Actually, no, my 60 foot time, yeah, my 60 foot time dropped by quite a bit. I mean, I was close to being you know, yeah, a lot. It was bad, but so yeah, basically the point I'm trying to make here is that the second pass just was not that good. I mean, as you can clearly see here. And also this truck did a weird thing. I had it in first gear and it decided to shift into second. Something's been up with the shifter on this where it sometimes decides when and when it doesn't want to be a manual truck. So I had it all the way down in first and got on it hard and left. And then I still had it in first and I wasn't ready to shift into second yet, and it shifted in the second at like 4,000 RPM, where I was really trying to get 5, maybe 5,200 out of it. And the reason why I was trying to do that is because with this cam and these heads, with the Vortec heads, I think it's going to be making its peak numbers right around somewhere between, I'd say 5 to 5,200 RPM. Because I've had that truck, I think I've had this truck spooled up to 6 or 6,200 once. And I can tell you, like, all throughout 5,000 RPM, it still felt like it was pulling. Which that could be potentially a little bit of the gearing too. Because once you already have the vehicle up to speed, with having higher gears, it's going to want to pull more once you actually get it rolling. But honestly, for it, doing the math on it and having pretty much a 16 borderline high 15-second square body Chevy that probably weighs 5,000 pounds and it's literally a brick, 16 O's, dude, that's badass. So for all the people on the internet telling me that our budget build 350 is junk and that our Vortec heads are junk and blah 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 whatever, suck it, go suck it, because I just ran a 16-second pass in my clapped out square body Chevy. So I'm gonna go celebrate with a beer, and you all have a great day. All right, we'll catch you in the next one.